Hello, teachers and pianists. My name is Jana Williams, and if we haven't met before, welcome to my home piano studio. Today we're talking about one tiny little piece of music, the introduction to the Chopin Nocturne in C-sharp minor, Opus Posthumous. I have a full video on all the other considerations of this piece, well, many of the other considerations of this piece that I will link in the description, or you can just click right up there. But I realized well after I made the video that I completely forgot to go back and talk about the introduction. The main body of this piece, the main melody, sounds like this. And it's such a beautiful piece, and it's very popular with pianists and piano students. And so that video has gotten a lot of traffic, but I forgot to talk about the introduction. So today we're just going to talk about the introduction. It sounds like this. And then you go on with everything else. I've actually found this to be a terribly problematic part of the piece for my students. And I'm not entirely sure if students don't practice it because they find it boring, or if they just want to get going with the rest of it, or if they just don't think it looks hard and therefore they don't give enough consideration to it. So the main problem is typically rhythm. Students don't count. And whereas once you get to measure 5 in my edition, or where the main melody starts, we just have the constant stream of eighth notes. And so that naturally keeps your tempo going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and students don't count at the beginning. They don't feel the eighth rest. They don't, hold the quarter notes the right duration, or they just take an entirely different tempo than they're going to take once they start the main melody. So the first task in working on this with your student would be to have them count out loud, and if they struggle with that, then write in the counts 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and in the measure, and to really feel the rest on beat 2 and beat 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Chopin could have written a dotted quarter note followed by an eighth note, but instead he wrote rests. So I really do feel like those should be moments of silence with an actual lift, including the pedal. I don't think it should be, I think it should have that in between. And then again, there should be a rest at the end of measure 2 before you then repeat that exact same chord progression. Speaking of the repeat, in my edition, I'm looking at Jane McGraw's Encore Book 3. I do like this as a teaching edition. If you have questions about editions, please go to that other video because I talk a lot about editions and problems with editions in that one. But in here, she has measure 1 marked piano and then measure 3 marked pianissimo. It does need to be softer. It's a repeat. We don't ever want to do things twice exactly the same as at the piano because what's the point of repeating it? So I like the idea of this being softer. Like first you say something and then you kind of contemplate it again. And then you begin your real song. I think this would be a great opportunity to use a little una corda pedal. If your student at this level hasn't done a lot with una corda, one of the things I always tell my students is that it's like a dimmer switch, like a light switch that doesn't just go on and off, but has a dim function on it. And if you have a good piano with a functional una corda pedal, then just pressing it down a little bit will just give you a little bit of the effect. Putting it all the way down will give you a lot. Now, I don't always like the tone quality of all pianos when the una corda pedal is being used, and I think sometimes students and pianists overuse the una corda pedal. It's not a substitute for just playing softer. You have to be able to play softer with your hands, but for a different color and for that kind of mysterious moment in measure 3 and 4, I think it's a good opportunity to try it. I think the other thing that we need to consider here is the actual harmony. Again, we're in C-sharp minor, which is the key for this whole piece. So it's very easy to ask a student, all right, we have 6 chords, or at least 6 moments in this little phrase. Which one is the most special? Or another way you could say this, which one is the most dissonant, unexpected, surprising? I don't know, which one is the tastiest? You could come up with all kinds of ways of asking that same question. I think it's pretty obvious that it's the downbeat of the second measure. We have this diminished chord, which functions a little bit like, well, it really does function like an augmented 6th chord. A natural to F double sharp, which walks out to the G sharps. So it's that predominant augmented 6th chord. It's a really, really juicy chord. And if you just play it by itself, it feels tense, meaning it feels unresolved. And then you get this lovely resolution. So the phrasing of the top, if you're thinking that as melody, should go to there, and then it should back off. And then you have to be able to do that with everything else. Now, in order to play that legato, you do have to think about what fingering you are using on these chords, and you have to execute the tie correctly as well. So if I look at that 8th note on 4 and going into bar 2 downbeat, I have C sharp minor with the C sharp being tied over the bar line. So I'm going to play that, and then I have to lift up the E to replay it, but hold the C sharp, and ideally I would even slur the top. So I'm holding the top and the bottom, lift up my 2, go to the downbeat. Of course, the pedal can help you connect that as well. Last comment about pedal. Yes, of course you should use it on this. And I think it helps to actually depress the damper pedal before you begin the first note. It opens up the dampers. It allows you to just gently fall into that first beat. And then try a little bit of una corda pedal. Again, also put the damper pedal before you begin. That was too loud. Let me try that again. Same tempo. I hope that gives you some ideas on how to teach just the introduction of the Nocturne in C sharp minor, Opus Posthumus by Chopin. If you enjoyed this, please check out my other videos, hit the like button, share this with a friend, and definitely subscribe to my channel. And I wish you all the best in your teaching and playing.